Allah, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Brakatahau, Brakatahau Shai, Brakatahau, Brakatahau Shai, Brakatahau, Brakatahau Shai, Thawada, Baba, Kalkadash. I like to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that teach us truth, that we know is 100% truth, the true word of our Lord. I'm going to start off the lesson today talking about how Jake has got to the point to where we at now that we are a diminished nation. You know, we are at the bottom of the barrel as far as the ranking to these other nations. And it's not by accident that we got this way. You know, first of all, we know we are the Lord's chosen people. When I say we, I'm talking about you so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But I can only speak from the tribe of Judah myself, which I may be Northern Kingdom, never know, because we know we have a lot of Reuben and Gadites in America. My family being from the South, like North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida area, so it's a good possibility, you know. Which I know we do have some Reubenites in our family tree on my mother's side, definitely. Well, hell, probably on my father's side. But anyhow, like I said, you know, the Lord has brought us down to this very low estate. And the things that I've seen over the years, because, mind you, I was born in the 1960s, late 1960s, actually 66 to be exact. And I've seen so many changes within those 60 years, man. And to see the downfall of our people as a whole, I'm talking like as a whole. Now you have these superstars and these, what you call them, athletes, these entertainers that they prop up in these certain positions. And you have some jakes that, you know, that do pretty well for themselves. But as a whole, our nation of people as a whole, man, are totally destroyed, you know. Because I remember coming up, you know, when I first got my first job, when I first got my first bank account, hell, we had stores still there. We owned stores, corner stores and shit like that. You know, we had our own corner stores. Some places we even had our own grocery stores. You know, we had black owned. I'm talking about black owned grocery stores, black owned corner stores. When you go there as a child, man, because you knew the guy that owned the place. And, yeah, they give you, sometimes they just give you candy, you know, because the whole community as a whole looked out for each other, because we all knew these people. You know, you damn sure won't steal from them. If they catch your ass stealing, believe me, the whole neighborhood would know before you got your ass home. So, you know, and that's how it was, man. It was a community. We had so-called black communities then. You know, we had black banks. You know, I remember People's Building and Loan Bank that we had. It was a black-owned bank, and that went up under. I remember when that went up under, probably in the late '90s. You know, we had black pharmacies, black doctors. The family had a black doctor, and these things are hard to believe now that those things existed, and that wasn't that long ago, man. It wasn't that long ago. And these things no longer exist today because, you know, we have powers that be that make sure these things don't exist. You know, they got things that are put in play to keep you jakes at the bottom. It's not like we, as a people, not capable of doing things on our own. You know, so we had townships, you know, prior to, you know, we had Black Wall Street. Now, Black Wall Street was just one of many townships that the so-called blacks or Native Americans did have, because, you know, that's something to be discussed too, whether a lot of those were Native Americans, because, you know, Oklahoma, or is it Oklahoma? Oklahoma is where they sent a lot of, where they Trail of Tears, where they delivered them to. But and now look at the state we're in now. We have to go to our enemy for everything. Jake don't own anything, man. And then they brought these other heathen nations over here, propped them up in your neighborhoods, gave them loans so they could sell to you, to pretty much be a buffer class. And you hear this thing going on today with the wars with the FBAs or ADOS. FBAs talk about Foundational Black Americans, or ADOS is something called descendants of enslaved Americans or something like that. And so they kind of have a delineation between the groups now. And a lot of that, you have to be mindful because a lot of this is orchestrated by Esau Edom. But in doing so, it brings out a lot of important facts of things that we know are going on because Esau Edom, he believes in that keep conquered and divided. And, that goes back to the Baker's revolution. So that keeps everybody from focusing on him. Keep you from focusing on doing, and, take care of yourself. So now, like I said, with this FBA thing and, people delineate, they bring these other class of people over here to help keep, Judah. Mainly Judah's the main tribe, man. And one thing Esau Edom does, he always like to go after the head of anything. So by taking out the head, think that the other tribes are going to, everybody's going to fall apart. And Judah's always been leading the way. So that's why he puts more pressure on destroying Judah, destroying his families, destroying his communities, all those things, So he bring these other buffer groups over here. And I'm not just talking about the others, the northern kingdom tribes that they bring over here, because they use that as a thing too. But they bring a lot of these, like I say, the Moabites over here, put in your neighborhood. They got with the hair stores, things is going on now with the nail shops and all that. Then they bring the Arabs over here now. They propped up in your neighborhood. They're taking away your black, taking away these so-called black dollars, and now they cook your food. I remember in Jacksonville, when I first went to Jacksonville about 16 years ago, there was a lot of seafood places and they used to do a lot of crab boils. I never had a crab boil till I moved down there. And I remember how good the crab boils were. Then I know over the span of those 15 years, man, the Moabites moved in and took over the crab boils and the Arabs. But they have a few of our people back there cooking or either showing them how to do it. Now you don't have any so-called black-owned crab boils shops, stuff like that. So they took all the power out of the Southern Kingdom tribes, man, and pretty much left them destitute. They regentrified all the neighborhoods to break up the people, so those little communities that was going on. So then you see the state that our people in, because we have to go to this double now for everything. And of course, everybody's scattered out everywhere. That's the type of the world that we live in now. Nobody just grows up in the same community that they grew up in, and people know each other. Now, when I go back home to where I'm from, and like I said, it's only about 15, 16 years ago, man, like a whole nother world, man. Nobody knows each other. You don't see anybody that you know. Everybody's like strangers. But when I was coming up, you always saw somebody that you knew. You go to the local mall, man, you always seen people that you ran into from back in the day. And right now, you go home, it's like nothing but like a foreign invasion. They done pumped all these foreigners in there, man, and it takes away from the power of community when they do these things. And they understand that because they give these people loans. They don't even know their background history, their credit history. They give them free housing, free free food. They get like $5,000 worth of food stamps. What I'm hearing, 5,000, in cash and stuff. They was giving them vehicles that they can go to the car lot and be able to get a vehicle. So all these things. But yet Jake is the one that built this place. Jake is the one that do reparations, and they make you have to jump through hoops to get in the damn thing. Now they give it to our women, stuff like welfare, but they're not getting that kind of money. They give them stuff like welfare and Section 8 and these things, so they can keep them, if that independent feminist mindset, to keep the family broken up. Anything to break up the family, anything to break up the community, these devils are going to invest in. And this not only goes on here, they do this all throughout the world, man. Everywhere this man has gone, he has destroyed the communities everywhere. This man has been like a cancer to the earth. And he does it. At this point, I don't even think he even thinks about what he does now. He just does it. It's just automatically in his instinct. And you hear a lot of Jakes fighting for these devils, man. Now they all not like that. Well, majority of them is, man. We don't know who. The angels have to come in, because some of them the few good ones may be Israelites, But the majority of these so-called white people are Edomites, man. They're devils, man. They're cancer to the earth. Everywhere they go, they spread their vile, filthy lifestyle, or things that are detriment to those communities, to those areas. And like I said, I traveled throughout the world, throughout the country, and you can see anywhere where these devils been, where they had set up bases, you always see the people resort to their lowest form. They don't have any type of morals and things like that, because the devil leaves an imprint wherever he goes, man. His fingerprints on anything that's devastated, And that's why the Lord's going to have to take him out. But let me get back to the main point. Like I said, we don't have anything, man. We have to go to this devil for everything. We got to take our kids there to the doctors. We got to have them deliver our kids, help. And Lord knows what they do to these kids when they get them away from the mother. They should have all type of things, type of shots, chemicals, because we know they do chemical warfare on our people. And that's even if the child even get a chance to be born, because they always put in their mindset, these women, to abort damn near all their kids, man. And I know we understand they have a lot of them out of wedlock, but still, And then the mortality rate of these kids being born to so-called black mothers, man, is far exceeds any other nation or group. And that makes you think, you go back to the time of Egypt, where they told the midwives of the Egyptians, when the Pharaoh told the midwives of the Egyptians, any Israelite child being born, especially male, to put that child to death. So it's nothing new up under the sun, man. These things are always going on, just different players in the ball game that's ruling at the top. Let me turn on the brightness. So let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48, 49. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee. And like I said, when I go back home now and I see the condition of our people in, man, they're walking around like straight zombies, the walking dead, man. They're almost unrecognizable, And Jake has been totally destroyed, and this devil is he's not going to stop until he totally wipes us out. And that's his plan. He don't want to just put us in total subjection. He don't want to just put us in a position where we got to go to him for everything. He wants us wiped off the face of the earth, And not that Jake has done anything to this devil. It's just your mere existence, because you had that birthright, man. That's what it goes back to. Esau, Edom, man, with our forefather Jacob. Verse 49, the Lord Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from the far ends of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And who's that nation that the Lord sent against us, man? These Edomites. Way back in the time of 70 AD. Um, and he always been against Jake, man, against Judah. And like I said, since he came over to the Americas and since he's been over here, he's been devastating our people from the northern kingdom to the southern kingdom. And he's not going to let loose until the Lord step in and remove this devil out of power, because this is nothing that we're going to be able to handle on our own. Man. And we have had many leaders and stuff in the past that tried to liberate or free our people, but all of them were unsuccessful attempts, man. And Esau allowed them to come up. Some of them may have, been paid opposition, and then he'll take them out because that gives Jake a sense of hopelessness. Especially when they took out the leaders back in the late '60s, Martin Luther King and the Malcolm X. Man, when they took them out, Jake just pretty much lost their mind because they was relying and putting their faith into a person, other than putting their faith and spirit into Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Now we understand the truth wasn't out at that time, Well, it was coming. Actually, the truth was coming out at that time. That was the beginning of it. And now we look at where it's at today. This truth is spread, and it's beating at the heels of Babylon the Great, man. You think of that statue, the statue in Daniel, and it's talking about the great millstone, hitting her feet. That's made of iron and clay. You got all this stuff, hard built structure at the top, which is top heavy. At the bottom, you got the feet, the foundation that's made of miry clay with mixed with metal, and that's not going to hold, man. And the great millstone is talking about this truth that's attacking, that's hitting the foundation. Every time this word goes out, it destroys all their life, all their lies, and all their deception, because they rule not only by the power of their sword, but by their ability to be able to deceive and convince people and make people destroy themselves, man, like a Jedi mind trick. Look at Jake now. They go out here and destroy each other. Talking about the northern and the southern kingdom tribes, man. You got these so-called Mexicans, groups, and these other groups, and they kill each other. They slaughter each other. While Esau Edom continues to oppress them. Same way with Jake, man, with the gang culture. Jake's out here slaughtering each other. All that's through the Jedi mind trick and convincing them to destroy themselves, man. He programmed them to do that. He sends in the guns, the drugs, the illusion, and he sends Jake out there, give him his marching orders. So until this man's taken out of power, like I said, his truth is doing it, because his truth is waking people up and telling them who they are, that we do have a higher power, that we do have to connect to our power, because we've been so long without. And Lord is bringing these things to our remembrance. Let me hit a precept real quick. The book of John, chapter 14, verse 26. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things and bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you. And one of the things he brought to our remembrance is hell. We're not the heathen that these devils been teaching us for so long. Yeah, we're the Lord's chosen people. We didn't know who we were. They was telling us that we were everything but what we were. That we were black, Negroes, Afro-Americans, niggers, everything but what we really were. And now the Lord brought these things back into our remembrance through the Comforter. And now we can start, rebuilding and we connect back to the Lord, man. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21. And thy ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. And like I say, when the brothers, started teaching on the highways and byways and out on the YouTube channels, this word, this gospel is spread throughout the four corners of the earth, man. And those who were chosen from the beginning, they're going to hear that word, man, and that new song, and it's going to resonate with them. And automatically you're going to say, hold on, damn, I'm feeling that. You start powering up in this truth. And that's the beauty of our Lord, man. To brought us from the state that we were in to, bring us back into our, to our, to, to our power. Knowing that we are the chosen people, man. We are not these bastards, walking upon the earth, not knowing who our Father was. Now we know who our Father is. It's like a child, man, that's been orphaned. He goes off to orphanage, thinking his family didn't love him, that he belonged to nobody, and the people that's supposed to be caring for him are abusing him, and telling him that he's nothing, he's a nobody, beating him every day, starving him out, and just totally destroying him. Then you're gonna find out, hell, he comes from a great lineage, damn. I do have a family out here, and and then that brings back that hope, that spirit of hope back in that child, man. And these devils know that destroying hope in a people is a very strong psychological weapon, that can use to destroy people. Because once you give people a sense of hopelessness, they're easy to be programmed to do any damn thing, and that's why we see in these so-called black communities, neighborhoods, Jakes out here slaughtering each other, man, or in these barrios, or on these reservations, you know, and that's what Esau Edom has put on our people. Look what he did to the tribes, to the native tribes, man. Put them on reservations, even though some of them do get a check, you know, and that's debatable too about some of those tribes. But even though they get a check, they have a sense of hopelessness on those reservations because they're not free spirited and be able to do the things that they want to do. They got to sit here and wait for government handouts, man, and it destroys the people. They can't build anything. They can't do anything. But the Lord is restoring that power back, man, through this truth, through this gospel. This gospel is what's building us, man. In the book of Acts, chapter 20, verse 32, and now, brethren, I command you to Yahweh and to the word of his grace, which is able to build you up and to give you an inheritance among all them which are sanctified. And that's where we getting back our inheritance, like that orphan child. Come to find out he has an inheritance waiting on him. He has a whole mansion to go to. He's got he's gonna have maid servants. He's gonna have butlers and all those things, um, Bentleys and Rolls Royces and all those things waiting for him, man. The whole time he's been destitute in a rundown orphanage, being destroyed by who he thought was his parents, thinking that he was a bastard, and kind of find out, he belonged to royalty. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 11. For the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Hamashiach. Yahweh Shai. But that's pretty much it, man. I just want to kind of hit that because, like I said, I was reflecting back, say within about 60 years here on earth, man, I've seen so much change in our people. You know, I, I witnessed the destruction of our people, and it's not just a natural process of destruction, man. It's an organized set of destruction because we know Esau, Edom, you know, they set up workshops. They come up with ways to think tanks to figure out how to destroy the Jake's ability to build, you know, to build these communities, to build structure. He puts everything in his power to destroy all that. But Jake don't see it. You know, 2/3 of our people, they're not going to see that. But those of us with this discerning eye, man, with this veil lit, that we able to see these things and understand, see the process, thanks to the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, sending that Holy Ghost, man, to us. But that's pretty much it, man. I'm ended there, man. Lord wills edifying with that. Say shalom.